If the killing power of white moonlight is 80%, then the killing power of dead white moonlight will be 100%. But for Nantangqing, it is 800%. And Jiang Muyan is not the white moonlight, but a tiny twilight, and of course, she can never boil the Southern Tang Qing like liquor. Chapter 1. White Swan and Ugly Duckling. You are listening at Novel Full. Audio. De co lois ara trong quatrin lay text. Chapter 2. Birthday Invitation. You are listening at Novel Full. Audio. De co lois ara trong quatrin lay text. Chapter 3. Hard Life. You are listening at Novel Full. Audio. De co lois ara trong quatrin lay text. Chapter 4. Buying Gifts. You are listening at Novel Full. Audio. Jiang Muyan walked listlessly towards home, but at this moment, she was very resistant in her heart. If possible, Jiang Muyan hopes to immediately return to her grandmother's side at this moment, without going back to the so-called home where she doesn't treat herself as a person. But along the way, even though Jiang Muyan tried her best, she still returned home. You dead girl, how did you come back? You must have gone somewhere wild after school. As soon as Jiang Muyan entered the house, her stepmother's screams and curses could be heard. At this moment, a girl came out of the second-floor room, standing above and complaining to you towards the living room. Can you keep your voice down? I can hear it in my room, it's really noisy. The girl is Xia Miao, the child of Jiang Tsong and stepmother Xia Yuan. When Jiang Muyan first saw the girl, she felt that such a beautiful girl could not be the child of Jiang Tsong and her stepmother. In Jiang Muyan's eyes, Xia Miao is like an angel. Even though she is still young, she can still be seen as a beautiful embryo. In addition, the girl's skin is very white due to her pampering. It's impossible to see parents like Jiang Tsong and Xia Yuan. On weekdays, Xia Yuan loves her daughter Xia Miao the most, wishing she could give her all the good things in the world. Therefore, when Xia Miao complained, Xia Yuan immediately apologized with a smile. Sorry, Miao Miao. It was Mom who accidentally disturbed you. Don't worry, Mom will pay attention in the future. Watching Xia Miao return to the room, Xia Yuan immediately walked towards Jiang Muyan, grabbed Jiang Muyan's ear and walked towards the kitchen. As soon as he entered the room, he cursed softly. You little scumbag, it's all your fault for disturbing my Miao Miao, he said fiercely afterwards. Hurry up and tidy up the kitchen, then go to the restaurant to help. If I find you lazy again, I will definitely let you taste the bitterness. Jiang Muyan looked at the messy kitchen and stood dejectedly leaning against the refrigerator. After packing everything up, Jiang Muyan walked towards the restaurant. After all, if Xia Miao is at home today, then Xia Yuan will stay at home to accompany Xia Miao and not go to the restaurant. In this way, Jiang Muyan is safer staying in the restaurant than staying at home. Due to being on Friday, there were particularly many people. As soon as Jiang Muyan arrived at the restaurant, she saw her father busy running around. Don't be fooled by Xia Yuan's absence from the restaurant, but she knows every move of Jiang Tsong like the back of her hand. Otherwise, how could someone as intelligent as Jiang Tsong have been willing for so many years? To be honest, sometimes Jiang Muyan really feels that Jiang Tsong can still follow behind Xia Yuan and not be dumped, partly because Jiang Tsong is eloquent and can make Xia Yuan happy. As for a large part, Jiang Muyan thinks it's still because of Xia Miao. After all, any mother would hope that their child could have a complete home, let alone Xia Yuan, who usually holds Xia Miao in her palm. So as long as Jiang Tsong doesn't go too far on weekdays, Xia Yuan always turns a blind eye. Jiang Muyan went straight to the kitchen, washed dishes, served dishes, and cleaned up. On weekdays, Xia Yuan does not allow Jiang Muyan to go to the front to entertain guests, saying that Jiang Muyan is damaging the restaurant's image. Jiang Muyan stayed by the pool washing dishes and dishes. After Jiang Tsong came in, he looked at his watch and asked, "Yen Yen, it's almost 2 o'clock now. Aren't you going to school yet? It's almost late." Jiang Muyan only remembered that she had started her vacation in the afternoon, and she had not told Xia Yuan and Jiang Tsong yet. A thought suddenly came to mind. After all, as long as they don't say it themselves, they won't know their situation at school. "Oh, okay Dad. I'll go right now." Jiang Muyan lowered her head and walked out quickly. Jiang Muyan, who was leaving, quickly ran towards the distance, attempting to throw all the things that bound her behind. Until she ran out of breath and could no longer run, Jiang Muyan stopped and leaned against the wall beside her, panting heavily. "Hey, what's wrong with you? Running so fast, is there anyone chasing you from behind?" The sound of the motorcycle coming to a stop on the roadside startled Jiang Muyan. Looking aside, it was Qin Wan, his yellow-haired desk mate. Wearing a tight black leather jacket, the graceful figure is delicately outlined, and it is this yellow hair that makes people stand out a bit. Jiang Muyan looked at Qin Wan with a guilty expression and said intermittently, No one is chasing me. I'm just looking for a gift shop." Qin Wan smirked with evil charm, "It's not easy yet. Let's go, I'll take you there." Hand Jiang Muyan a helmet casually. Jiang Muyan originally wanted to refuse, but Qin Wan insisted on taking her, saying that she wanted to be grateful for running errands for her at school. Jiang Muyan, with a negative attitude, put on her helmet and got into the car. The motorcycle left with a loud roar. The sudden inertia force almost caused Jiang Muyan to fall, which frightened Jiang Muyan and immediately hugged Qin Wan. In no time, Qin Wan took Jiang Muyan to a large shopping mall, which was very lively and bustling with people coming and going. Qin Wan placed Jiang Muyan at the door and said, "This is the largest shopping mall with everything inside. I suggest you take a look at the basement floor, where, what do you say? It's quite affordable anyway." Jiang Muyan had originally planned to ask Qin Wan if she wanted to go in and buy together, but to her surprise, she didn't even open her mouth. After Qin Wan finished speaking, she rode away on her motorcycle, and the loud noise caught the attention of many people. Looking at the mall in front of her, Jiang Muyan pinched the money in her pocket and hesitated for a moment before finally entering. Standing in the center, Jiang Muyan looked up at the sky above her. The floors were so high that she couldn't see her head. In the end, the dazzling sunlight projected from outside forced Jiang Muyan to lower her head again and walk towards the negative first floor where Qin Wan was. The difference between the basement and the upper floor is that the things inside are still dazzling, but there are very few people coming and going. It's not like those floors above. Jiang Muyan almost moved the entire basement floor before bargaining with the merchant to buy a nice-looking birthday gift that was carefully packaged in her backpack. Stepping out of the mall door, I felt the heavy gift in my backpack, clenched my hand in my arms, and felt a warm feeling in my heart. After leaving the mall, Jiang Muyan walked aimlessly all the way and happened to come to a park where many people were chatting and avoiding the summer heat. After checking the time, Jiang Muyan plans to stay here until school time before returning. Looking at the family playing with their children in the distance, Jiang Muyan felt a bit envious. Since she had memories, only her grandmother had been with her, and even her mother had only seen her twice. Once I came to divorce my father, and once I came to tidy up my things at home. Not to mention having parents by my side. Jiang Muyan kept looking at the family of 3 until they left, and it wasn't until then that Jiang Muyan remembered that it all depended on time. At first glance, it has been over half an hour since school time. Jiang Muyan immediately got up and ran towards the restaurant. On Friday, Xia Yuan requested Jiang Muyan to go directly to the restaurant to help, and she didn't go home to rest until the door closed at night. Chapter 5. Nantangqing. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. De Co Lois Ara Trong Quatrin Lay Text. Chapter 6. Same. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. Muyan, Please stay here for a while and take whatever you want to eat or drink. Tang Qing and I will go see my dad first. I got it. Jiang Muyan nodded awkwardly. After staring at the back of the two people leaving together, it was such a perfect match. Perhaps sometimes fairy tales can also deceive people, as the prince will never notice Cinderella. Jiang Muyan looked around and saw that the people coming and going were all dressed in luxurious dresses and exquisite attire. Looking at the clothes that didn't fit her, Jiang Muyan tugged at the hem of her clothes and walked towards the corner. Yo, who is this? I thought I was mistaken, but I didn't expect it to be you, Jiang Muyan. Upon hearing someone call her name, Jiang Muyan looked at the voice and realized that it was Li Wen and Kai Yuan, her attendants who often followed Jiang Muyan. Jiang Muyan knew that these two people would definitely cause trouble for her, so she used the excuse that she still had something to do and wanted to leave. Unexpectedly, Li Wen stood in front and took her to a remote place. Li Wen was dressed in formal attire, shaking her wine glass with a mocking expression on her face. I advise you, after finally coming to such a high-end place, to wander around more, but be careful not to accidentally damage someone else's things, otherwise you will be bankrupt and unable to afford it. Also, don't just look for opportunities all day just because others say you're like Ian, hoping to get in touch with her. Although Ian may seem kind and close to others on a daily basis, she's not someone you can get in touch with. You need to understand your identity. You're just a country bumpkin without a father or mother, you know. Kai Yuan, standing beside him, said fiercely, his chubby face completely devoid of the childishness and cuteness of a student, but full of malice. Jiang Muyan immediately retorted when she heard Kai Yuan say she was a wild child. I am not a wild child, I have a father, a grandmother. Also, I don't want to cling to Ian, I just consider her a classmate. Upon hearing Jiang Muyan's rebuttal, Kai Yuan beside her poured the wine from her head. Jiang Muyan didn't expect her to do this, and Li Wen beside her was also surprised by it, but she quickly realized it. Jiang Muyan pushed aside the two people in front of her and wanted to resist. But how can one person resist two people? In just a few seconds, they are surrounded by two people in place. Li Wen held Jiang Muyan's hand and forced her to kneel on the ground, while Kai Yuan crouched in front of her and sarcastically said, "Just you, a wild child from the countryside, dare to take action against us." He said he was about to wave his hand towards Jiang Muyan, but he was caught by someone. The expected slap did not fall, and Jiang Muyan saw a boy standing in front of her, who was Nantangqing. No, Jiang Muyan looked closely and found that he was just the same as Nantangqing, but unlike Nantangqing, the boy revealed a trace of femininity, so she could be sure that he was not Nantangqing. "What are you doing here?" the boy's voice asked lazily. Li Wen and Kai Yuan were a bit flustered. After all, this was at someone else's house. If someone found out that they were bullying their classmates, Kai Yuan would react and reply, "We are classmates, but there was a slight misunderstanding at school, but it's okay now." Yes, it's just a little misunderstanding." Li Wen agreed. "Then we'll leave first." Kai Yuan picked up Li Wen and quickly ran away. Not even paying attention to the outside world, running recklessly. After seeing the two of them leave, Jiang Muyan stood up and said to the boy, "Thank you." After Jiang Muyan finished speaking, she was about to leave. The boy suddenly spoke up, "Are you familiar with the road? Let me take you out." Jiang Muyan did not refuse, saying thank you and following behind the boy. "Are you Jiang Muyan's classmate?" "Well, yes." Jiang Muyan answered softly. "You've met my brother, haven't you?" Jiang Muyan didn't react for a moment. The boy continued to add, "Nantangqing. That boy next to Jiang Muyan is my brother." Jiang Muyan did not answer, but silently nodded. The boy didn't care if Jiang Muyan answered his question, but continued to say, "My name is Nanli, what is your name?" "My name is Jiang Muyan." Jiang Muyan's voice was as low as a mosquito, but Nanli still heard it. Jiang Muyan, you really have a fate with her name. However, you are not like her. What? Jiang Muyan didn't understand the meaning behind Nanli's words and asked after her. Arrived, Nanli stopped at the door. Jiang Muyan only realized that this was a small door. No wonder when she first came over, there were no other people on the way except for the servants. You can go straight ahead along this road and get out. Thank you, Jiang Muyan bowed to the south to express her gratitude. Nanli smiled and said, good luck to you in the future. Although Nanli said this to herself with a smile, Jiang Muyan felt a slight chill in her spine. When Jiang Muyan returned to the restaurant, she found that Xia Yuanyuan and her son had not come yet, only Jiang Tsong was there. Jiang Muyan secretly ran back to the kitchen to help. When the door closed at night, Jiang Tsong also asked Jiang Muyan, Yan, when did you come back? There were too many people today, and I didn't even notice. Before Jiang Muyan could answer, Jiang Tsong exclaimed in surprise, what's wrong with you? What's wrong with your appearance? After Jiang Muyan returned from there, her hair and clothes had almost dried all the way. As soon as she returned to the restaurant, she was too busy to stand still and didn't clean up. At this point, her body should be covered in patches of stains. Jiang Muyan felt a bit guilty and replied, it's okay, it's just that I accidentally spilled the wine on it. I'll go back and replace it, just wash it off. Chapter 7. Celebrating Birthdays. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Since returning from Jiang Muyan's birthday party that day, Jiang Muyan has been helping out at the restaurant on Saturdays and Sundays. Fortunately, during these 2 days, neither Xia Yuanyuan nor Xia Miao's mother and daughter have returned. Muyan, let's close the door early tonight and then let's go out for dinner, Jiang Tsong's voice came from the side. Jiang Muyan also wanted to go out to eat, but when she thought of Xia Yuanyuan, she hesitated, but auntie, she. Jiang Tsong comforted and said, your aunt and the others will only come back tomorrow, don't worry. Whatever you want to eat, Dad will buy it for you today. Jiang Muyan was very pleased with this news, really. Dad. Of course, when did Dad deceive you? For Jiang Tsong's words, Jiang Muyan couldn't help but think of the time when she was in her hometown, but Jiang Muyan chose to stop when she saw the good. The restaurant didn't actually close too early today, it was only half an hour earlier than usual. After all, don't look at Xia Yuanyuan not being in the restaurant, but he can even be very careful to understand the bigger things happening in the restaurant. Sometimes, Jiang Muyan really doubts whether she has a clone technique. After he leaves, she can separate herself and constantly stare at the restaurant, staring at everything. Jiang Tsong said he wanted to take her out for a big meal, but in fact, he was just going to the snack stand outside to eat barbecue or something. Jiang Muyan actually doesn't like to eat these, but she knows in her heart that Xia Yuanyuan didn't give Jiang Tsong too much money. Moreover, in Jiang Tsong's opinion, perhaps young girls nowadays like to eat these, and these are also things he can provide within his ability that can improve the food. Jiang Tsong ordered a lot of meat and took out a small cake with candles, singing a happy birthday song. Happy birthday to you, Muyan. Today, our Muyan has grown up another year. Muyan, make a wish and blow out the candles quickly. Muyan, Jiang Muyan, who was sitting beside her in a daze, realized that today was her birthday after Jiang Tsong called out several times. I forgot it myself, but I didn't expect Jiang Tsong to still remember. Muyan, make a wish and blow out the candles quickly, Jiang Tsong urged again. Jiang Muyan closed her eyes and blew out the candle for a long time. Muyan, what wish did you make for such a long time? Jiang Tsong asked while cutting a small cake. I hope my grandmother can safely wait until the day when I become famous. Jiang Tsong handed the cake to Jiang Muyan, reached out and rubbed her hair, saying, our family's Muyan will definitely make a name for herself, and my grandmother will definitely wait until that day. Jiang Muyan, who lay in bed at night, felt that perhaps these 2 days were the happiest she had ever had since being picked up by Jiang Muyan. Although she had been helping, she lacked Xia Yuanyuan's insults and beatings, and her father accompanied her on her birthday, as well as him. Perhaps even the little Jiang Muyan is not sure why her heart beats so fast when she sees that boy. Is this feeling what the book says, like? Jiang Muyan is not sure. That night, Jiang Muyan had a great dream. In her dream, she became the Cinderella in her grandmother's story. Finally, at the ball that day, she met the handsome prince in a gorgeous dress. He reached out to invite her to dance, and the shy Jiang Muyan placed her hand on the prince's hand. When the prince looked up, Jiang Muyan was surprised and held her breath. Nantangqing. Chapter 8. Goodbye. You are listening at Novel Full. Audio. De Co Lois Ara Trong Quatrin Lay Text. Chapter 9. Contact. You are listening at Novel Full. Audio. De Co Lois Ara Trong Quatrin Lay Text. Chapter 10. Injury, 1. You are listening at Novel Full. Audio. Teacher Li brought 3 people to a particularly large staircase conference room. Thank you too for your hard work. Compare these files with the names on each seat, and put all the water on the designated seats. After that, you two can leave. Teacher Li pointed to the row of seats behind. Looking at the back, there are about 110 seats. If it's just a matter of pouring water one by one, it's okay, but now we need to put files corresponding to the names on each seat. This, Qin Wan said. 10,000 horses ran past in his heart. And Jiang Muyan could only smile bitterly as she looked at Qin Wan. This may be a bit cumbersome to do, it's been a lot of effort for both students. It was only when I received the notification that all the students had already finished school. It's okay, teacher. The 2 of us can finish it. Teacher Li still wears a smile on his face. That's good, as long as it's completed before class. I'll see if any students who arrive early at noon are calling for a few to come and help you. Jiang Muyan nodded. Tangqing, come with me. Teacher Li greeted Nantangqing standing beside him and left with him. Wait for Teacher Li, isn't he with us? Qin Wan pointed to Nantangqing and asked. Oh, the teacher has other things to ask him for help with, said Teacher Li, and then he took Nantangqing to the small compartment behind the staircase classroom. Qin Wan looked at the 2 people who had left and angrily kicked the box containing water. Angry and indignant, why do we have to do these dirty and tiring jobs? Jiang Muyan didn't seem to pay attention to these things, instead she looked up at the direction in which the 2 of them were leaving. I'm exhausted. Didn't Teacher Li say he wanted someone to come and help us? We've all learned how to do this, but why haven't we seen anyone come and help us? Qin Wan complained. Qin Wan, why don't you take a break if you're tired? I can handle all of this alone, and besides, there aren't many left now. Jiang Muyan looked at the remaining 2 rows of seats. After both of them finished all of these, it was almost time for class. Jiang Muyan had originally planned to go back to class directly, but was stopped by Qin Wan. I want to go out and play, do you want to come with me? Now. Qin Wan nodded confidently, as if it was a very ordinary thing. But now that class is about to start, if the teacher catches her skipping class, Jiang Muyan's eyes were full of worry. Qin Wan didn't want to force Jiang Muyan and herself to skip class. Then you go back first. If the teacher asks, just say you don't know. After Qin Wan finished speaking, he disappeared before his eyes. Jiang Muyan looked at the direction in which Qin Wan was leaving, knowing that she couldn't stop him at all, and she definitely wouldn't skip class because she didn't have the courage. After all, she had nothing behind her. Jiang Muyan sighed lightly and was about to walk towards the classroom. Unexpectedly, he turned his head and found that Nantangqing was standing behind him, staring in this direction. Jiang Muyan, who had been stunned for a while, immediately lowered her head and looked at her toes. She wanted to leave immediately, but before she could step out, she was stopped by a loud cry. Wait a minute. Upon hearing Nantangqing's voice, Jiang Muyan thought she had hallucinated, but what did she ask herself to do? Yes, it should be calling someone else. With such thoughts, Jiang Muyan didn't even check if Nantangqing was calling the people around her to leave. Wait, Jiang Muyan, Nantangqing said again. This time, Jiang Muyan is 100% certain that Nantangqing is calling her. An unexpected surprise and nervousness appeared in my heart. Why does he call himself? Is there anything wrong? What will he have to find himself for? Oh, by the way, Jiang Muyan is in our class. Does he want to inquire about Jiang Muyan through himself? A series of questions surfaced in Jiang Muyan's heart. Is there anything else? Jiang Muyan turned around and looked up, realizing that Nantangqing was walking towards her. She immediately lowered her head. Where did she go? Isn't class about to start at this time? Jiang Muyan didn't understand for a moment who Nantangqing was talking about. That's the classmate who helped teacherly with you today. Qin Wan. Why would Nantangqing ask Qin Wan? Rao thought so, but remembering what Qin Wan had told him earlier, he returned to Nantangqing. I don't know either. Nantangqing looked at Jiang Muyan, who had been bowing her head, and said thank you before leaving. At this moment, Jiang Muyan slowly lifted her head and looked at the back of Nantangqing. She realized that Nantangqing, who was wearing a school uniform, was like two people she had met that day. Along the way, Jiang Muyan was thinking about this afternoon and what happened just now. How would Nantangqing inquire about Qin Wan's news? Did they get to know each other long ago? So what is the relationship between the two of them? What about Qin Wan? Didn't you two go together to help teacherly? Why are you the only one back? Jiang Muyan, who returned to the classroom, looked at the old class standing on the podium questioning her, feeling somewhat bewildered. Help, why did I forget that the first class today was from the old class? What should I do? It was he who asked me and Qin Wan to help teacherly at that time. What should I do, and how should I respond? Jiang Muyan. I'm asking you where Qin Wan went. Didn't she go with you? Why are you the only one back? At this moment, someone below was whispering softly, I must have skipped class again, it's not the first time. Yes, she must have sneaked out to play again. The whispers below were a bit loud, and at this moment, Old Ban's face was also a bit unhappy. He pushed his glasses and stared at Jiang Muyan, as if trying to see her through. Jiang Muyan, did Qin Wan really skip class? No, Jiang Muyan's voice was resounding and powerful, which attracted many classmates to look over. Noticing the gaze of others, Jiang Muyan slowly lowered her head again. Where did she go then? Qin Wan felt a bit uncomfortable, so he went to the medical room. Now, he is resting in the medical room. Medical room. The boss's tone was a bit strange, clearly incredulous. But now Jiang Muyan has no other way out, and her tone is once again affirmative. Yes, teacher, Qin Wan is indeed in the infirmary. Old Ban pushed his glasses again, his gaze below the lenses carrying a hint of exploration. Teacher, I would like to take a leave to see how Qin Wan is doing now. If she has a good rest, I will bring her back with me. The old class pondered for a moment and spoke up, then you can go and take a look, he said. Jiang Muyan was about to ask me to leave outside, but to her surprise, Old Ban stopped him again and said, when you two come back, ask the person in the medical room to issue a certificate. Jiang Muyan frowned unintentionally and replied, okay teacher, then I'll leave first.